Thanks for clicking on my video. Before we get started, please click the subscribe button so that you can get more great content such as this one. Thanks. To bring up something a lot of people don't think about at very low levels, which is the value of the wizard's gear. A lot of people look at the starting gear and they're like, hey, it's kind of balanced because the fighter needs more armor or more weapons because the wizard starts out with spells and doesn't have to afford those things, or like the druid can summon things with his spells, or like the rogue's got dex, so he doesn't need as much armor, so he can spend that money somewhere else, so on and so forth. But what a lot of people don't realize is the value of the characters. Um, when you look at the overall value of some of their stuff. And the wizard specifically has one item they start out with that is insanely valuable compared to any other start out character, and that's a spell book. Spell books have a value of, well, to purchase one or to add to it, you're looking at 100 gold pieces per page. And a level 0 spell, which is a cantrip, takes up a full page just like a first level spell does. But what people forget about sometimes is that a wizard spell book starts the game with all cantrips already included in it because they are able to prepare any of them. They don't have to relearn or learn new cantrips to add to it. They get it. It's part of their start out package. And then on top of that, they get a minimum of 3 first level spells that they can add to it, which I find weird because they could technically be a wizard with only a 10 intelligence, which means they couldn't cast their first level spells, but they still have those spells in their spell book in case they ever get to the point where they're intelligent enough to do it. So even with the lamest of lame wizard, if you take his book, it's going to have all the cantrips plus at least 3 first level spells in it. Excuse me. And that's with their primary spell book. Obviously, they could be carrying 2 or 3 spell books, and you might get the one that has nothing in it, yada yada yada. But we're talking about the core items that you would start out with, because most people aren't going to buy a second spell book to begin with because they're not going to be able to afford anything to do with it other than just carrying a book. So with 19 cantrips just in the player's handbook of D&D 3.5, and that's why I'm using it as an example because most people are pretty familiar with it, even though it's a pretty old system now. You had 9 cantrips just in the core player handbook, and if you took the spell compendium, there was like 9 more cantrips that you could add to your book as well. So right there, you're talking 28 spells plus the 3 first level spells. So you had 31 different spells minimum in a first level wizard's spell book. Now, the value of selling a spell book is basically half the cost of making it, which is 100 gold pieces per page. So you're taking 31 spells or 31 pages, multiplying it up to, by 100, and that's 3,100, and then you take half that value, and so you're at 1,550 gold pieces just for his book. So if your wizard died in combat, whoever grabs his book has probably the most wealth your party is going to see for quite a while, and they could sell that spell book and buy more gear that is way better than anything anybody else in the party has. For an evil group, you would want to murder every wizard you came across just to steal their books. And I know that's bad to say, but that's the gist of it. At first level, 1,550 gold pieces is a lot of money, and can set you off pretty well. And if you watch my other video, when you can get a guard dog for 25 gold pieces, I mean that's a pretty big pack of animals that you could have going around. Because 1,550 divided that by 25, you could have 62 guard dogs following you around, that you basically have as your own army of dogs and take on pretty much any first level party for nothing. I mean, a wizard could sell his spell book and just become like a master of dogs and take on every first level party he wanted, loot them, and then sell all their gear to get whatever. They could just become the evil wizard that has no spells, other than read magic. So it's just funny how the base core system is set up and designed, because at such a low level, that is a huge value that's very commonly overlooked that a wizard has. The utility of it, the value of it, and the fact that, he's just carrying this book around worth that much money that he uses every day, and nobody is licking their lips to take that from him other than the evil characters. So it's kind of interesting, and sometimes there's other items in the game that are like that. Usually it ends up being a case where the items you get that sound cool aren't near as good for the level that you get them at because of the rating of it. There's several themed items that would apply to certain characters that by the time you qualify to really get those items, there's a lot better items out there for you. So you just want to sell it, but you don't, because it's a role-playing thing. But a first level wizard spellbook is one of those irony things where you stop and think, it's like, yeah, we should just keep hiring these wizards to travel with us. Oh, I failed to protect him. Here, let's sell his book, and we will hire another wizard to go with us. So just keep that in mind. It's kind of like a running joke that a wizard's got to watch his back, because his party could very quickly become very profitable by getting rid of him. So if you find this a little bit amusing, or you want to add to it, or give another example of where something like that is completely broken, or just out of whack, feel free to put those down in the comments section below. I'd love to read some of them. Yeah, this is the kind of thing that starting out a game that a lot of people don't really think about until just one day it clicks, going, wait a minute, my book is worth what? And why didn't I sell that at that point? So anyway, that's all I got for today. Have a good one.